Imagine getting up every day full of energy as if you were in your 20s again. What would that be like? What would it be worth to you? What is your health worth to you? Think about it. Your health isn't everything, but without it, everything else is nothing. And yet, too many of us are taking it for granted until something goes wrong. And no one wakes up hoping to be diagnosed with a disease or chronic illness. And yet, we've never been taught how to be proactive in our health through our school or public health. As a registered health coach and integrative health practitioner, I believe it's time this information is made available to everyone. Combining new knowledge around your health and the ability to do my functional medicine lab tests in the comfort of your own home will allow you to optimize your health for today and all your tomorrows. Don't wait for your wake-up call. Welcome back to another episode of the Don't Wait for Your Wake-Up Call podcast. I am Melissa Deely, your host, and today I have with me a very dear friend, Christine Traynor. Welcome to the show, Christine.
Hi, Melissa. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited to have you here. We had the good fortune to be on the same business mastermind retreat in Azores recently, and of course got to know each other well. And it's just such a pleasure to invite you onto the show to share your wisdom. And I just want to introduce you to the audience. From a young age, Christine recognized the incredible potential of real estate as a path to financial prosperity. She was gifted Rich Dad, Poor Dad when she was 21 by a realtor and has been investing in real estate ever since. Christine truly believes there is no better way to build wealth than through investing in real estate and is passionate about empowering women to create wealth through real estate. Christine is the host of a free online community, She Builds Wealth, the creator of the Foundations course, Wealth Through Real Estate for Women, as well as a mortgage broker, real estate developer, and investor. Christine believes in today's world, it is more important than ever for women to take charge of their financial futures and that women can no longer depend solely on a single income source or partnership relationship for financial security, and that women need to create their own wealth and, in turn, freedom. Her desire is to help as many women as possible create financial freedom and wealth through real estate, as well as create much needed quality housing in the communities she invests in. And I just love your mission, your passion for this, Christine, and your free community. And that's why I wanted to bring you on the show to be able to share your wealth, your wisdom, and invite more people into your community to learn how to create that financial freedom that you've created for yourself. And there's always a backstory with every person that comes on the show. So I would love for you to share your backstory as to what led you down this path.
Well, thank you so much for that introduction, Melissa. And yeah, we did have the good fortune of meeting in Portugal and got to spend some time there together. And it's been so nice to get to know you since then. So there is always a backstory. And my backstory, I guess, started, and we won't go way back, but based on the intro, yeah, I was gifted Rich Dad, Poor Dad when I was 21 and had bought my first condo at 19 and didn't know what I was doing, and read the book and thought, this sounds really interesting, and kind of took a few toe dips in real estate investing at that time, but hadn't fully grasped, how money worked, how real estate investing worked at that time. And had bought a property, moved to Vancouver Island, had bought a property, had a renovation, a major construction renovation situation that, went poorly for a few reasons. The contractor, the septic stuff that wasn't checked out properly, as well as, mismanagement of knowing all the ins and outs and budgeting and stuff like that. And that kind of left me, in a really vulnerable position, and sort of that was my financial meltdown mode. And that was over a decade ago. And that experience really sort of empowered me to really go deeper and really learn more than I had up to that point, and really figure out this real estate investing and money thing.
I just want to jump in there. and say a couple of things. First of all, I've heard you refer to that as one step away from bankruptcy. Is this the same scenario that we're talking about?
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
just to bring the gravity of it here to the audience, that you were one step away from bankruptcy.
yeah, truly.
And what I love is that in that moment of one step away from gravity of bankruptcy, that you didn't choose to throw your arms up and say, "This isn't for me, I've failed," and run away with your tail between your legs and, go get the first job you could find. You chose instead to delve deeper and figure out what you didn't know that you needed to know in order to make this work. And I love that. And I just wanted to say kudos to you for making that choice and sticking with it and realizing there's more to this than what I know. And if I learn more, I can stay on this path.
Yeah, totally. Thanks for that, Melissa. And yeah, it was definitely a hard time, but it was also a time where it was like, okay, this is where I need to lean in. And my background was 2 decades as a real estate appraiser. So I was working as a real estate appraiser at that point. And, was surrounded by people, who were investing in real estate, who were having successful projects. I was also working for a local real estate developer, who was building, whatever 50-unit buildings, and so I was in that world and I could see it working all around me, but I just didn't know how to make it work for me. And so it was a really
Right.
good opportunity, like you said, to just lean in more, learn more, and really just a decision. It was a decision to be like, no, this is happening. I am going to create the life that I want for myself, which includes time and financial freedom, and there's a way to figure this out. And yeah, so that's kind of where it started.
I love that. And as I said, kudos to you for choosing to keep moving forward. So a lot of people wouldn't, right? And so there's a big mindset aspect to this that is really important that has also got you to where you're at today. And I know where you're at today, living the life that you've created for yourself, the life that you dreamed of with, you've got your home in Victoria, as you mentioned, and then you've got the lake house where you spend all summer, and then you've got the place in Mexico where you go during the winter. And the amount of time that you get to spend in each of these places that you love is incredible and aspirational and inspirational for others. And that's why I wanted to have you on the show, because you came from almost losing everything to now having the life that you want and being in service of others, helping create, residences and homes for people in the community that is so needed.
Yeah, totally.
So
Thank you.
it's beautiful how you've built this life for yourself. And I know now that you are super passionate about helping people build wealth because you've seen so many people, particularly women, living in scarcity. So let's talk about how that is impacting not only their finances, it's impacting all of their life, including their health.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's where the mission kind of started for me, Melissa, was, once I kind of got myself situated and could see how my life was shifting and what was possible for me, it really kind of opened me up to being like, I want everyone to be able to experience this because everyone can experience this. And there were so many women, I'm saying women in particularly, obviously it could be anyone, but just women in my kind of inner and outer spheres that, were doing it all, working full time, raising families, trying to look after themselves, exercising, dealing with aging parents, all the things that, anyone is juggling at any one time. And they were feeling like they were on a hamster wheel and living in scarcity. And, a lot of them were dealing with, and I'm going to say maybe not necessarily like earth shattering health issues, where, to the point where they ended up, being bedridden or something like that, but to the point where it was really impacting their lives, right?
Right.
Always at the naturopath, always at the doctor, run down, not having energy, and it was all coming back from doctors and naturopaths of just like, you need to do your survival, like you're in survival mode, right?
Right.
Which is that scarcity. And when you're in
Mm-hmm.
survival mode, you can't, like your body isn't functioning properly and you can't get out of that until you deal with your
Right.
nervous system, right? And so that was what a lot of people kind of in my world were experiencing and just weren't even necessarily open to the conversation of like, how could I build wealth? Because they just felt like they were so far from like that vision. Right.
Right.
And My experience was just like it's a decision, and holding on to that vision and having the faith that you can create whatever you want and really believing in whatever your dream is. And so it kind of stemmed from that. And I think with real estate investing, and I mean, that's my vehicle to building wealth, there's a lot of misconceptions, right? I think we all just hear like what we hear in the media, right? You know, you save your money, you buy your primary residence, and that's kind of it, or that's the only path forward, right? And
Right.
you know, I live in an expensive part of the world, where you know it's one of the most expensive places in Canada, and Canada being an expensive country to live in, just generally, when it comes to housing, and people just felt like it was unattainable, and it was like, hold on a minute, there are so many other ways that you can get into real estate investing, and the first step is learning about it, and that was really where the She Builds Wealth community was formed, and from there, the course to help people learn about that. And we can go into, I mean, there's so many other ways that I work with people too, in that space, but that's really where it kind of came from.
I love that. And let's talk about the She Builds Wealth. And I know you said that's a free community that you run, and you've recently kind of reopened it or
Yeah.
reinitiated it after having a little break from it. So let's talk about what that is and what you offer there to people who want to learn from what you've been able to accomplish. Because I think that's the thing is if you can help someone else learn to do what you've done, you save them the pitfalls and the getting to almost bankruptcy that you went through yourself, and they get to achieve their dreams faster by tapping into you who's already done it.
Yeah, totally. It was born as a space really where women can come to connect. So it's an online community where we chat about all things money, real estate investing, business mindset. I would say those are kind of the four pillars that we chat about in there. And really a place where women can talk about building wealth and what that means and ask their questions and learn. And so we'll bring in guest speakers. You know, we'll sometimes have in-person events, and really just and we've got a monthly newsletter that goes out just with about different topics related to money, investing, business, and mindset, and just a place, because I think that's one of the things is money for so long was this taboo topic that, you know, I mean, I remember growing up, was like, you don't talk about money, you don't talk about how much money you make or don't make, or, you know, and it was just this kind of mystery world. And I think it's such a great time now where that veil is kind of being removed, and you know, women are feeling like they're part of the conversation, that we can have conversations, that we can lift each other up and share, you know, what each of us knows to all rise together. So,
Well, I love that. And I only found out recently that the generation before us, women couldn't even have their own bank account without
yeah,
their husband opening the bank account and guaranteeing it for them. So
yeah,
it's not that long, really, that
yeah,
women have been able to have their own bank account and manage their own wealth. And so that's part of the societal shift and the programming shift that women can create their own financial independence because
yeah.
it wasn't that way 50 years ago.
No, it was in the 70s, right, where that shifted. And so when you think of the, you know, how long our species has been in existence, it's a very, very short
Short
time
time.
frame,
Yes.
right? That this has been, and it's a whole new world for women to learn about. And I think the other piece with that is a lot of women are choosing to stay single, right? Are
Mm-hmm.
choosing to, you know, live out their own dreams, and maybe not, you know, taking the traditional route of, you know, getting married and having kids. And I think, and even just in a lot of the women I work with, even if they are in relationships, they're the ones who are leading family finances, right? And looking at investment opportunities. And so there is a shift happening where it was traditionally, you know, the man who would, you know, take charge of investing and all of those pieces. There's really been a shift, you know, in the last, I'm going to say maybe decade, decade and a half, where women are really wanting this information, craving this information, wanting to understand what's out there and available to them, and really wanting to carve their own path to financial freedom. So it's really cool.
It is very cool. And it takes me back to my dad was an accountant and he taught me, he passed away when I was 13. However, before he passed away, he taught me a little bit, a morsel of what he knew in
Mm,
terms of, you know, understanding how much money you have in your bank account. And I did have a bank account then, and, you know, not and again, this, I know this isn't the real estate world. However, this is from the, value for employee, employer world of don't spend more than you have in your bank account, which is, good training for a young child to start learning. So you're not
Yeah.
into debt right off the bat, right? And and I look back at that now and just this new learning of the fact women couldn't have bank accounts until the 70s. And after he passed away, I took over the family finances because my mom had no idea and she didn't want to know was the other thing. And I was like,
Wow.
I can do this, right? And so it's just really interesting how times are shifting. And I love that you're giving women an avenue to be able to step into this learning and step into their power. And in doing so, step into their dreams. And at the same time, noticing how that ricochets and has a positive benefit in all areas of their life, including their health, as we talked about. Because if you're worried about where your next meal is coming from, you're in survival mode and your
Yeah.
nervous system is on fire. And that has the downside effect of negative health, down the road. And I've always said, health is your true wealth. However, the
Yeah.
reality there is that in today's world, in order to achieve good health, a lot of it we have to pay out of pocket for through the
Yeah.
naturopaths, through, additional massage, osteopath, supplements, et cetera, that's not covered through any kind of a health plan. So you need some wealth in order to be able to optimize your health. And, it's kind of like that infinity circle. You
Yeah.
can't separate the two.
No.
And I love that you recognize that as well. And not only are you helping people manage and enhance and build their wealth, in that process, you're reducing their stress.
Yeah.
And that is helping improve their health. And it
Yeah.
it is that interconnected.
It's so interconnected. And I think it's like at a basic level, if your basic needs of security, and that stems from finances, like if you don't feel secure and safe, which is directly tied to, your bank account, right?
Yeah,
You're not going to be living in true alignment with where you could go in the world, and you're not going to be living out of that survival mode and scarcity, right? So that really is a foundational thing to take a look at, right? And I think a lot of people, when you're working a job and you're on a fixed income from that job, it's really challenging, right? When you have costs going up and all those things. So it's like shifting your mindset and thinking outside of the box on how can I create the life that I want. So that's a lot of the conversations that we have, and also just showing what's possible, right? For everyone.
yeah,
When you do shift your mindset and you do make a decision and you do learn about what's available. Because I think for a lot of the time, not everyone is exposed to the same types of conversations and information, right? And so if you're not
right.
if you're not listening to podcasts like this or putting yourself in the room with people that are doing things maybe differently, you might not have access to even the information to know what's possible.
Exactly. Because we only know what we know, right?
Right.
Until we go and seek out more information. And if we don't know it's possible, we may not even be seeking it out. So we're not in the right place, which is why I love that you're on my podcast because now you're reaching a different audience. I have had the occasional person come on and talk about wealth and health because they are so interconnected. And I love to do that so that everybody that's here thinking only about their health in this moment can also get the aha of, oh my goodness, if I look after my wealth, then, perhaps that's the key to reducing the stress on my nervous system in order to allow my body to heal because a stressed out body can't heal anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
So
so interconnected, like you said.
it is. And you also mentioned the word alignment there. And I know you're a big believer of living in true alignment with your health, with your wealth. And I'd love for you to share your story because I know you've been through a separation and then you had to refine your alignment. So I would love for you to share that.
Yeah. Yeah. From a health perspective, I think, I've always been, knock on wood, fortunate to be fairly healthy. And some of the things I think too, like where we just, your own baseline health wise, right? Like I know how I feel in my body, but I can't say how you feel in your body because I
Right,
have no idea how anyone else feels, right?
right.
And so for I'm going to say like a decade or more, probably a decade and a half, it was like, I do live a very full life. And I hate to use the term busy. My life is full, and I'm full with all things that I love to do, right? I've got kids, I've got multiple businesses. I, like to travel and do things and, walk the dog and all the things that we all do. But I would just wake up always feeling tired, right? Like no matter how much sleep I got, I would always feel tired and couldn't really understand like why would I always be feeling tired. And it was like, iron's good, got on the supplements, all the things, you get everything checked out, like you're healthy, you're good. And a lot of my girlfriends would just be like, it just, that's how we all feel. We're all always tired. Like this is how everyone feels. And you're kind of like, is it how everyone feels? I don't know, maybe, right? But I don't know how everyone feels. So having a lot of these conversations are just things that would come up. And one of the things, so I've recently gone through a separation over the last, call it year and a bit. And I didn't realize how, and I knew where I needed to go, where I was going in life. I needed to really make sure everything was aligned, right? And so moving into that, I didn't realize how, like subconsciously or unconsciously, being out of alignment with your true self can impact how you feel in your body and can impact your sleep and can impact your health. I think it's something that we probably all know when you say it out loud, but to experience it was so interesting. So it was like once I had kind of moved through that, it was all of a sudden like I'm sleeping better. I'm getting less sleep, but I'm waking up and I'm not tired. And I'm not having sugar cravings anymore. And, I'm just feeling more back to myself. And, I think it was just on that subconscious level where, being in a relationship where your energies are off, or, what was maybe once working is no longer working, like something that sounds that you wouldn't think that that's necessarily directly related to your health. You know what I mean? Because I didn't feel stressed, or it wasn't like there was any drama or fighting. It was just we kind of grew apart, and that was good, and it's all amicable and everything like that. But you don't realize how being out of alignment with your true self can really impact your health. I mean, I'm sure you know this as a health
literally
practitioner,
drains
but
your energy,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really
When you're
interesting.
out of alignment with your true self, you are in some way, shape, or form showing up with a mask on.
Yeah,
And that takes energy, then showing up
yeah,
as yourself. And so that's why you're feeling drained all the time, because it takes energy. And I
yeah.
love that you also questioned, again, your girlfriend saying, well, we all feel like that. Everyone feels like that. That is the societal programming of just accepting that that's the way it is.
Yeah,
Love that you question that. I love that you're like, well, does it have to be that way? I don't know. I'm going to
I,
find out, right?
yeah,
And you
yeah,
found out and you figured out I don't have to feel that way when I live in alignment with my truest self.
yeah.
And I love that message too, because we don't have to live by the societal programming.
We don't.
We can choose to look at it differently, experience it differently, learn something to grow, to expand beyond that. Because that societal programming is keeping us small and not able to live our best lives. So I don't know, have you had conversations with your girlfriend since where you're saying, I'm energized, look at me go. I'm like waking up every day fully energized, loving my
Totally.
life. And are they like, what pill are you on? Right? And
Totally,
asking
totally,
for the pill.
totally. Yeah, totally. That's exactly what's happening. But I think it extends to like it's your relationships, it's your career, it's where you live, it's how you spend your time. It's, it's all of the things, right? Who you surround yourself with. Like I think
Yes.
it's like you really have to look at every area of your life as a
Yes.
holistic approach. It's your finances, it's all of it, right? And really take a look at all of those categories and design, create a life by design, right?
Mm.
And just because you have a certain life that you've always lived, in those categories doesn't mean that's the way it always has to be. You can wake up tomorrow and make a different choice, right? And the closer you move to living, in true alignment with who you really are and the life that you want to create for yourself, I think the more you're just going to feel better. You're going to feel better. You're going to have more energy. You're going to notice the ripple effects in every facet of your life. So, if something's off, I think it's just, and questioning those little things, right? It might not seem like a big deal, but I think that's where it's like you want to question those things before they get to the point where you've ignored them for so long. It is a big deal. And that can then cause, those health things that can creep up when you haven't been listening to your body and your spirit, right? So,
Yeah. And I just want to ask you this question because it's probably the question going through the audience's mind. Was it difficult for you to assess all of those areas of your life and make these shifts? And relative to how you're living your life now, I want you to ask, was it difficult and was it worth it?
Mm. So was it difficult to make the decision to shift things? 100%. I mean, it's always, making big life decisions is never easy. And anytime you have like a big transition, I mean, you think of all the things that could happen or might happen, or, if all of the things that go through your mind. I think that's just
Right.
human nature.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's like when you're so anchored into the life that you want to live, and you're so anchored into your vision of the life that you have for yourself, whether that's, what you want to be doing, how you want to feel. It's 1,000% worth it. Like, it's always worth it. And you will come out on the other side, feeling so much like, just when you get back to yourself,
Right.
there's literally no better feeling. Right. And so for anyone that's like, and I think it's a common conversation, like big life changes, whether it's a career change or a move somewhere else or a relationship, like when you're looking at stepping outside of your comfort zone, right? The comfort that you've created for yourself, right? Or what you've always known, it's always going to be met with like, fear, right? Really, like
Right.
fear of what that's going to look like on the other side. But the more that you lean into that, I think that's the work for all of us, right? Is to really lean in and make those decisions, right? To really live. That's how you get to live a life in true alignment, and it's so worth it.
Yes, and I love that you shared that and for your honest answer, right? So that people know and can expect it is going to be difficult. And that is because we're stepping outside our comfort zone. And the moment we step outside our comfort zone, our brain starts talking to us. We get
Yeah,
butterflies in our stomach. We feel nervous and the fear crops up, as you said. And in order to move to the place we want to go, we have to learn something new. There has to be growth in order to get there because we can't get ahead with the same neurology that we have where we've come from. And we talk about this in our trainings. And I know you've been on a personal growth, journey for a long time. And we love guiding people through this process so that
mm-hmm.
as difficult as it is, we make it as easy as possible to move through with ease and grace. And it's not
Yeah,
going to say you're not going to hate your shit, you will. And knowing that the fastest way through it is the direct line as opposed to
yes,
running away. That takes
yeah.
way longer, right? And so supporting people through that in our trainings and courses is such an honor because then we get to witness what's on the other side. And you've experienced that firsthand through your own personal growth journey.
Yeah. And then I think I think for anyone I'm sure most of your listeners are also on the personal growth path, but it's like the work never ends, right? It's just
Right.
different. It never
Yes.
ends. It's like, okay, you make this shift or this tweak or you do this, but it's always, I mean, life is always going to show you the lessons that you need to learn. And you're going to meet people and have experiences and go to places where, it's just, now this is something new, right? Like I didn't have to look at this before, but now it's in my face over and
Yes.
over, like the work
Yes.
never ends. And so the more that you can get comfortable with being uncomfortable, and having those difficult conversations or making those transitions or whatever that looks like, it's going to equip you because you're going to know, oh yeah, I can do hard things, right? I can
Right.
do that because I've been able to do X, Y, Z, right?
Exactly.
Because the alternative is just staying in the life that you have always known, right? And whether that's related to, your health or your wealth or relationships or any of those other categories, right? It's like you can stay there and you can continue to live that life over and over in Groundhog Day, right?
Hmm.
Or you can step out of that comfort zone and see what's on the other side. And I think, it's always, I mean, for me, it's like sometimes it takes a while to get there. I wouldn't say that anything
Yes.
happens overnight. Like for all of us, we have our own timeline, and the timing of it doesn't necessarily matter. But it's that we're willing to kind of move through and make those changes that we know we need to make. So
Yes. And I love what you said about growth, and something that we say that's very similar is that growth is always uncomfortable and it's never convenient, right?
yes, so
So often,
true.
so often we'll say, oh, well, I'll take that course or I'll go learn that thing or I'll participate in this when, as opposed to it's showing up in your face now because you need to do it now. You're
Yes,
ready
totally.
now, right? And
Totally.
the moment you make that commitment to do it now, it's incredible how the universe aligns everything. We've had so many people say, well, I've got this in the way of doing this course. And then they make the commitment, I'm going to do the course. And then the thing that was in the way ends up canceling or changing the date
Yes,
or whatever, right? So
totally.
that they can be fully present in the course. And that's what it is it's a decision. It's literally that decision that I'm going to, keep moving forward and do
Yeah.
what I need to do to grow. And another thing that we always say is that we're like plants. We're either growing or decaying
Yes,
in this earth
totally.
school that we're all participating in. And
Yeah.
I don't know about you, I would much rather be growing
Yes,
all the way to the
always.
end, right? Versus
Yeah.
decaying. And there is so much to learn. And so I love that you have been on this journey. You have come so far in really, let's face it, a relatively short amount of time, right? From 10 years ago, being on the brink of bankruptcy to where you're living your life at now and what else you are doing, and then being able to share that with others and teach it to others, which is amazing. Because as you say, everybody wants their freedom, right?
Yeah.
And I would love for you to share, what does that freedom mean to you?
Gosh, I mean, freedom is everything, Melissa. Like there's no, I did the feeling, even when you just said that word, like I just got a feeling in my chest. I can't imagine not being free to make my own choices every single day, right? Of, what time I wake up to how I spend my days to, I just got back from Vancouver. I was there for 2 days with my daughter and her friends. We went to a concert, and it's just being able to make those choices and having, being in business and working for yourself, you have those choices, setting yourself up financially so that you have businesses working for you where you're not necessarily, chained to a 9 to 5 or set hours. And investments working, to build your wealth in the background, to be able to make those choices. Like it's just being able to live your days how you want to live your days, and to be able to just be free and live how you want to live. I don't know how else to say it, but I think there's just no better feeling on the planet, and I want that for everyone, right? Like I
Yes.
know how full life is for all of us, and when I think of people that have to be at certain places at certain times and miss out on time with, family and friends and travel and, because they're not able to have that time off or they're not able to make decisions, because of finances. Like I think so many times we live our lives based on, how much money we make, right? Like it's like
Hmm.
I have to budget this and I have to spend this and we're still in scarcity, right?
Right.
And I think as humans, like we were meant to live free and in abundance. And I think that's all of our true nature. And so, yeah, like, I mean, I just have like a vision for like everyone in the world to like get to that place.
It's beautiful. I love it. And it's absolutely achievable.
It is.
And in order to be able to do that, there is a whole mindset shift and neurological rewiring that needs to happen because that isn't the programming that we've all been fed.
Yeah,
And so I
100%.
love that you're breaking free of that and sharing it with others. So I love to ask all of my guests that come on the show, what does don't wait for your wake up call mean to you?
Mm. Gosh, I feel like there's so many different messages coming through on that. But I would say don't wait for your wake up call to, like for me, it's like don't wait until you're in a situation where you are completely depleted and not able to move out of scarcity. Don't wait till you get there. Get the tools and information that you need now to be able to start, moving out of that place if you're in that place and moving into a place of abundance. Just don't wait, right? Like I don't think any of us needs to wait till things get, too uncomfortable or too bad, if you will. It's just make a decision today that you want to live a different life and start now.
I love that because it's so much easier to start from here to move forward than wait and go backwards, backwards, backwards. And then you have so much more to catch up. Whereas if
Yeah,
you just make that decision now, you can start moving forward and there's no further backward slide. So
yeah,
I love that.
absolutely.
Now, Christine, you have very generously offered some gifts to the audience, and I would love for you to share how people can get hold of you if they would like to reach out and, join your She Builds Wealth group, learn from you, and also how they can access your free gifts.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. So you can find me on socials, which is at christine.traynor.re investing. You can find me there. You can find me at my website, which is www.christinetraynor.com. From there, you can sign up for our free She Builds Wealth community. And would also love to offer your listeners, Melissa, a free consultation to chat about wealth building or mortgages. So you can reach out to me there or on socials is fine too. And for anyone who wants to go a little bit deeper, I do have the Foundations for Real Estate Investing course, and I would love to offer your listeners $500 off the course.
Well, thank you very much. So we have all of that in the show notes, including the code to use to get $500 off the Foundations for Real Estate course. So people can go there and get all the information that you have just talked about. So thank you for your generosity. And is there any other words of wisdom that you would like to share with the audience?
I would just say for anyone listening, whatever's on your heart, go after it and live in true alignment. Because when you get to that place where you can wake up every day and really feel like you are living as your true authentic self and living out what's on your heart, it's life is a joy every day. So yeah, go after it.
Love that. Beautiful words of wisdom. Just go after what your heart is telling you. So thank you, Christine, for being on the show and sharing your wisdom and being open to teach others how they too can achieve their financial independence, their health, and their wealth in this lifetime with much greater ease by learning from you. So I really appreciate your time and being here. And I also want to thank the audience. Thank you for being here, for wanting to learn about your health, which also includes needing some knowledge about how to be managing your wealth and creating that freedom for yourself. Thank you for tuning in each and every week. If you know someone who needs to hear this episode, please share it with them. Thank you again. I am excited to share with you Quantum Life Mastery School. This is what we offer through Amplify Impact Academy, among many other trainings. However, this is our gold standard training. This is the training that allows you to become one of the top 1% of coaches in the world. That as a master practitioner, once you complete this training, you will be able to guarantee your results in writing to your clients because you are working with neurology and they will no longer be able to do their problem after you've rewired that neurology. Through this Quantum Life Mastery Schools, you will get 4 designations as a master practitioner of NLP, a master practitioner of timeline therapy, a master practitioner of hypnotherapy, and a master practitioner of NLP results coaching. And throughout this program, we build on the learnings as you go through the practitioner training, as well as some personal growth trainings to get to that master practitioner level. And this work is so powerful. You will literally, in just working with clients for 10 to 12 hours, transform their lives. And even better, this isn't just for coaches. We call it Quantum Life Mastery Skills because this is literally life skills. We've had people come through that want to be better parents, better partners, better leaders at work. One fellow came through because he knew the power of mindset with his golf game. He wanted to improve his golf game. When you do this work for yourself, your life improves, regardless of whether you're a coach. And the ripple effect of your life improving and up-leveling yourself has profound positive impact on your family and loved ones as well. So check out the link in the show notes to the Amplify Impact Academy Quantum Life Mastery School.